I guess people kind of liked my last one, and therefore that would necessitate another one. In this one, I will be chewing gum and reading about one of my favorite subjects, that being philosophy. I've got a book here on philosophical subjects by Brian Hickey called The Story of Thought. I will most likely just scan through this book and read a few excerpts here and there. Even though the intention of ASMR is to help people to relax and subsequently fall asleep, I still think that there's no reason why you shouldn't learn something in the process. So, should we start? Before Socrates, the emergence of rational thinking. The very earliest Western philosophers, those before Socrates, produced large-scale theories about the world, some of which were widely mistaken, but some profound enough to be influential down to our own day. The first philosophers were making two great breaks with the past simultaneously. In the first place, they were trying to understand the world by the use of their reason without appealing to religion or revelation or authority or tradition. This in itself was something wholly new and one of the most important milestones in human development. But at the same time, they were teaching other people to use their own reason too, and think for themselves. So they did not expect even their own pupils necessarily to agree with them. They were the first teachers who did not try to pass on a body of knowledge pure and unsullied, inviolate, but instead encouraged their pupils to discuss and argue, debate, put forward ideas of their own. These two developments in the mental life of mankind, both of them revolutionary, are linked, which is why they appeared on the scene together. They form the foundations of what we now call rational thinking. Once they had been introduced, they launched an unparalleled rate of growth in human knowledge and understanding. The first thinkers of this kind emerged in the ancient Greek world in the 6th century BC. The one usually thought of as the very first, Thales, was a Greek who lived in the town of Milesian on the Asia Minor coast of what is now Turkey. After the name of the town, he and his followers have become known as the Milesian school. We do not know his dates of birth and death, but we know he was active and flourishing in the 580s BC because he accurately predicted an eclipse of the sun that took place in the 585 BC. He was also an early civil engineer, one who carried out the feat of diverting the waters of the river Hylas to enable King Croesus Every time the rains come down, plants spring from the earth. So, they are evidently water in another form. All living things need a huge and consistent intake of water to go on living. Our bodies are in fact some 60% water. Every landmass comes to an end at the water's edge. So, Thales thought this meant that the whole earth is floating on water, and so has emerged out of water, and so is constituted of water. That's pretty genius, considering the information available to this guy at that time. That's pretty ingenious. That's pretty insightful, I've got to say. Even though that might seem ridiculous to us now, given what we do know through science, through the contemporary scientists of the ancient Greek days, or the philosophers who were the scientists of thought, things like this were pretty ingenious, I do believe. Okay, he came to the conclusion that everything was water in one form or another. He could see that at very low temperatures water becomes rock, and at very high temperatures air. Every time the rains come down, the plants spring out of the earth, so they are evidently water in another form. All living things need a huge and consistent intake of water to go on living. Our bodies are in fact some 60% water. Every land mass comes to an end at the water's edge. So Thales thought this meant that the whole earth is floating on water, and so has emerged out of water, and so is constituted of water. Thales had a pupil called Anaximander, who was born in Miletus in 610 BC and lived to about 546 BC. He realized that if, as Thales said, the earth was supported by the sea would have to be supported by something else, and so on ad infinitum. You would find yourself in what is known as an infinite regress. He solved this problem with the astounding idea that the earth is not supported by anything at all. It is just a solid object hanging in space. It is kept in position by its equidistance from everything else. Anaximander did not think of the earth as being a globe, because it seemed to him self-evident that we live on a flat surface. So we thought of it as cylindrical. The earth is held up by nothing, but remains stationary, owing to the fact that it is equally distant from all other things. Its shape is like that of a drum. We walk on one side of its flat surfaces, while the other is on the opposite side. This was too much for his pupil Anaximander, who considered it self-evident that the earth was flat, and also that it must be held up by something. He came to believe that it floated on air in the sort of way the lid of a boiling saucepan sometimes floats on steam. It is salutary to realize that for many generations after their deaths, Anaximenes remained a more respected and more influential philosopher than Anaximander. This means
those generations. There were thinkers using Anaximander as their starting point, when in fact there had already been another thinker before him who had come up with something much better. This sort of thing this sort of thing has to make up the world. That seems like a very ineloquent sentence to me, so I did check it like 3 times. That seems like a stupid sentence. Anyway, if you did away with contradiction, you would do away with reality. But this in turn means that reality is inherently unstable. Everything is in flux all the time. And this is the second idea that has been permanently associated with Heraclitus. Everything is flux. Nothing in this world of ours just permanently is. Everything is changing all the time. Things come into existence in their different ways and are never the same for 2 moments together, so long as they exist, until eventually they go out of existence again. We ourselves are like this. Everything in the universe is like it. Perhaps the universe itself is like it. What we think of as things are not actually stable objects at all. They are in perpetual transition. Heraclitus likened them to flames in this respect. Flames look as if they are objects, but they are not so much objects as processes. This is a profound idea, but it is also disconcerting. Okay, that is not hopefully you, the viewer, can look beyond that and not be completely distraught by it. And I do apologize, seeing as it was clearly unintentional. Okay. God. Alright. I'm going to move on here. Yeah, this book is just full of amazing information. It never gets boring, really. It's just one continuous flow of relevant information. If you're influenced in philosophy, not influenced, if you're interested in philosophy, definitely check out Brian McGee's The Story of Thought, the essential guide to the history of Western philosophy. I mean, it goes from Plato to Nietzsche to modern day in a very succinct way that makes sense, and it's beautiful because it really does detail the story of human thought throughout the ages, philosophically speaking, and I think philosophy is one of the greatest human ventures around, because it's our attempt at understanding who we are, where we came from, how we fit into the world, into nature, where we're going, what this all means. I mean, it's the asking of questions, the asking of some superficial questions and other deep-seated questions that really tug at the foundations of our origins and essence, what we are, and what it means to be human. So I just fast forwarded it. Excuse me. I just fast forwarded to The Myth of the Cave by Plato here. I'm going to read this, and let me check the time here. 16:37, okay. I'm not going to go on much longer than 20 minutes, I don't think. So this is The Mystery of the Cave This is one of my favorite philosophical allegories. I actually wrote a song heavily influenced by it called Stereotype, which I don't even mess around with anymore. I just wrote it and was like, okay, that's boring now. You know how artistry is, right? Or do you know how artistry is? You create something and it becomes boring and passe, and then, okay, I gotta make something better. Okay, so here's the myth of the cave.
The most famous passage in all Plato's writings occurs in the Republic and is known as the myth of the cave. In it, Plato puts into symbolic form his view of the human condition, and especially of human knowledge in relation to reality as a whole. Imagine, he says, a big cave connected to the outside world by a passage long enough to prevent any daylight from penetrating into the cave itself. Facing the far wall, with their backs to the entrance, is a row of prisoners. Not only are their limbs chained, they are also fastened by the neck so that they cannot move their heads, and therefore cannot see one another. Indeed, cannot see any part of themselves. All they can see is the wall in front of them. And they have been in this situation all their lives and know nothing else. In the cave behind them is a bright fire. Unknown to them, there is a rampart as high as a man between the fire and them. And on the other side of this rampart are people perpetually passing to and fro, carrying things on their heads. The shadows of these objects are cast onto the wall in front of the prisoners by the light of the fire, and the voices of the people carrying them are echoed back from this wall to the prisoners' ears. Now, says Plato, the only entities that the prisoners ever perceive or experience in the whole of their existence are those shadows and those echoes. In these circumstances, it would be natural for them to assume that shadows and echoes constitute all the reality there is. Now listen, this is an incredibly ingenious analog for the limitations of human perception. I gotta start here. Okay. If one of the prisoners could shake off his chains so cramped. Man, where did I stop? Oh, there it is. Okay. In these circumstances, it would be natural for them to assume that shadows and echoes constitute all the reality there is. See, there's a big picture right here. You see that? No, you don't. Do you? There's text here, right? Then a big ass picture, and then here's where I stopped reading, and that's why I lost my place. Quite a void in between. And it would be to this reality and to their experiences of it that all their talk would refer. If one of the prisoners could shake off his chains, so cramped would he be by a lifetime of entrapment in the half dark, that merely to turn around
out of the cave altogether into the world of blazing sunlight, he would be blinded and bewildered, and it would be a long time before he was able to be able to see or understand anything. But then, once he was used to being in the upper world, if he were to return to the cave, he would be temporarily blinded again, this time by the darkness, and everything he said to the prisoners about his experiences would be unintelligible to those people whose language had reference only to shadows and echoes. The way to begin understanding this allegory is to see us human beings as imprisoned in our own bodies with only other such prisoners for company. And all of us unable to discern the real selves of one another, or even our own real selves. Our direct experience is not of reality, but what is in our minds. Okay, and then it goes on to Aristotle, which is extremely important in philosophy, and goes on to the Cynics, to which Diogenes of Sinope belongs, and the Skeptics, which I totally identify with. I totally identify with Stoicism, skepticism, even Epicureanism. I mean, there are a lot of venues of philosophy that I personally identify with. The Stoics, yes, there they are. I totally identify with that. There's a piece on can the existence of God be proved? Wow, what an important question, right? Well, this book talks about it. I'm sure that's at least 20 minutes right there. 24:79. Well, that's the second time I dropped the digital recorder, and I think this is precisely where I will call the video quits. Hopefully this was relaxing. I am advocating this for ASMR purposes. If you have any requests, questions, blah blah blah, feel free to put it out there into the ethers. Go to my YouTube channel. I personally really enjoy philosophy and psychology and science and English and literature. So, correspond with me, and we can kind of fine-tune the whole thing here. So, yeah, just let me know. Let me know if you like this. Hopefully the gum chewing was audible. I don't tend to smack when I chew. I don't tend to chew very loudly and obnoxiously, but hopefully it was audible enough to trigger your ASMR. Here's the thing, when I listen to ASMR videos, usually it's somebody who's very lesser known and has very few subscribers, but for some reason their level of unpretentiousness, the fact that they don't feel like they're being watched by a lot of people, and being amateur, that does it for me. So, I respect ASMR artists like, Maria, and the woman Lilium, and Amal, and there's a lot, but they know that they're being watched by thousands of people, therefore that affects their performance, like they're an actor. But I like more amateur kind of ASMR artists who feel like nobody's watching, and so they just act kind of goofy and they stumble around, and that's what triggers my ASMR, is when it's unprofessional and it's unplanned and it's kind of random and haphazard and what's the word? I don't know, just more relaxed. But anyway, I hope this video does something for you, the viewer. And if it does, let me know. Like the video, subscribe to my channel. I'm more so a musician than I am an ASMR artist by far. I can say that with complete, total, and utter confidence. In fact, my band is playing a show in a week. But anyway, like I said, I could go on about this stuff for a long time. Psychology, philosophy, literature, the English language, grammar, even mysteries, conspiracies. I hate to say it, I know that's a stupid taboo topic, but it fascinates me. A lot of different things, so just put it out there. Give me some information, tell me something, let me know what you think, and we'll talk, alright? Bye.